So after 2020, when we did not see anything from college football in the spring, we do have the return of spring games. Taking a look at some of the notable ones, we have quite a few there in the Big 12 and SEC. We get Oklahoma, Texas, Baylor, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, also Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, South Carolina that had to be moved because of weather. So let's talk about them. Let's welcome in college football expert at 24/7 Sports, our good friend Brandon Marcello. All right, let's begin with the Oklahoma Sooners and Heisman favorite Spencer Rattler. Unlike the other guys behind him who are also favorites, Alabama's Bryce Young, Clemson's DJ Uiagalelei, this is year two as a starter for him. He's got some good weapons, a much improved defense from past years. What else do we need to know about the Sooners heading into this weekend?
Listen, Spencer Rattler had a great end to last season. You know, the start of the year, he kind of went under the radar because he threw those 4 quick picks. But, man, down the stretch, those last 5 games, he did very well. And not just that. What I have my eyes on this spring and in this spring game is that defense. You mentioned it. They had their best scoring defense since 2009. And considering they played mostly just conference opponents, that's saying something. They got a lot of those starters back. I'm really looking forward to seeing edge rusher Nick Bonito and then also defensive tackle Jalen Redmond. But the big thing to me for the offense is the receivers. They have some veteran guys there, but there's kind of a youth movement going on. We saw it last year with Marvin Mims coming in as a freshman, leading the team in receiving. He's going to be the #1 guy once again, but keep an eye on true freshman Mario Williams. I keep hearing great things about him out of spring practices. He's apparently maybe the fastest receiver they've got on the squad. It's going to help them in the return game on special teams, but also offensively could be their breakout star.
I'm taking notes as you speak. All right, let's head down south across the Red River to the Texas Longhorns. We find a lot of changes here. Unlike Oklahoma, Tom Herman fired at the end of the season. They now have Steve Sarkisian there taking over as head coach. Sam Ehlinger going into the draft after starting there for 4 years. So that means we get a quarterback battle. Who will we see this weekend?
Yeah, it's a tight battle apparently. I know everybody wants to assume that Casey Thompson, who came in the second half of that bowl game against Colorado last season and threw 4 touchdown passes and only had 2 incompletions. Everybody kind of assumes he's going to be the starter. But listen, Steve Sarkisian has truly taken a blank slate with these guys. And Hudson Card, who's a little bit younger than Casey Thompson, he's right in the mix of things right now. And so they're not going to name a starter after this spring, okay? They're going to name the starter probably 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts in September. But I think you'll be able to take a lot away from the spring game because, one, you're going to see these two operating in a new offense with some receivers injured, by the way. So the guy who elevates the players around him, who makes the receivers look better, who makes that offensive line kind of be able to make mistakes but still be able to escape the pocket and make some throws downfield, that's the guy who's going to be the favorite going into August. And as of right now, from the very tiny whispers I'm hearing from all those closed practices, Casey Thompson, the older guy and who has that playing experience, has the slight edge right now, but don't cut out Hudson Card out of that quarterback battle. By the way, these two former high school rivals, so we're getting to see that live out in spring practices now at Texas.
That's always fun. Texas has tried to come back. They've made a statement. It only went so far. But with Tom Herman gone and Sark there, give us your expectations. What do you think we can realistically expect from him year one?
Listen, this is a program that is built off of top 10 classes, top 5 recruiting classes. They have the talent there, even though they have a quarterback battle and some injuries and things to figure out at receiver. They've got the talent to be able to contend in the Big 12 year in and year out. Does that mean they're going to do it in year one there? Probably not. But this is a program that should be able to win 9 games this season, despite all those changes, despite Sam Ehlinger leaving. They've got the pieces in place. And by the way, they have a Heisman Trophy candidate at running back, I believe. And I think that this is a program under Steve Sarkisian in year one that can win 9 games, maybe more.
It's a lot of optimism there for the Longhorns. I know that fan base loves hearing you say that. Let's head over to Texas A&M, also looking for a new quarterback after Kellen Mond declared for the draft as well. From my research, it appears they're looking at 2 guys who've kind of been waiting in the wings there for a couple of years. What else do we need to know?
Listen, this is a 2-man battle. I know Jimbo Fisher's mentioned 3 quarterbacks, but it's really a 2-man battle between Haynes King and Zach Calzada. And Haynes King is the odds-on favorite to win that job and is my pick to end up winning that job. when all's said and done. Haynes King's a guy who's a little bit more dual than Zach Calzada. He can escape the pocket, extend plays with his feet. I really like his accuracy from what we've heard from spring practices. A&M's been very tight-lipped on things, but I keep hearing good things about him. But I think what's going to be key here, and really kind of the tipping point for me with Haynes King, and we'll see here in the spring game, the tipping point for Haynes King to me is that ability to escape the pocket, extend plays, and that's going to be crucial for A&M this season because they have to replace 4 starters along their offensive line. I don't think that's getting enough attention this offseason. A&M is stacked on defense, and they're going to be pretty good offensively if that offensive line can gel together. And as I said, 4 new starters, and this spring, they're only going to have 9 offensive linemen available for the spring game. So some players are going to be playing with the first team and the second team when you watch them Saturday.
Brandon, as of right now, A&M has the 6th best odds to win the national championship. Is that high for them? Could they potentially be a national championship contender?
I think it's a little high. Then again, Vegas knows all, and I don't know anything when it comes to doing all that. But listen, this is a program that has recruited very well the last 3 to 4 years under Jimbo Fisher. And that started with him when he arrived there. He is absolutely attacking and owning the recruiting trail in the state of Texas. And listen, this is a program that if they can figure out, one, that offensive line, as I mentioned, but also the quarterback, and get great to elite, maybe not elite, but great play out of that quarterback, this is certainly a team that can contend in the SEC West and win the championship. And then if they do that, they'll be in that national championship conversation. But that's a lot to ask from a first-year starter at quarterback when they have to play the likes of LSU and Alabama.
All right, let's stay in the SEC. Let's talk about the Lane Train getting his first Grove Bowl. By the way, he said he knows spring games can be a little boring, so he is luring fans with a party. I don't know what is included, but he says it's going to be a party. But let's talk about what's going to go on the field there. Year 2 under him. Last season finished 5-5. His defense was not good. That is putting it nicely. At one point, they were allowing 641 yards per game. So how do they get better?
You know, listen, they're calling their spring game the party and the sip. And Monte Kiffin, the great legendary defensive coordinator, is going to be a guest head coach for one of the teams. So I'm looking forward to just seeing him on the sideline. But when it comes to this team and being able to get back to winning ways and getting to 6 wins or 7 wins, that defense has got to improve. You just mentioned, I mean, they were going into the bowl game, the Outback Bowl last season, with the second worst defense in all of college football. That is, I mean, that you don't have to be an expert to say that's just terrible. But interestingly, in the Outback Bowl, the defense is what won them that game against Indiana. They held Indiana to 6 points heading into the fourth quarter and then held on for a 26-20 win. And get this, Ole Miss returns 10 of 11 starters on defense. There's a lot of hope that with that experience and some improvement in the offseason conditioning program, that this is a defense that can improve. And in my opinion, how could you not improve when you finish 117th nationally in scoring defense? I really like their edge rusher, Sam Williams, who plays a little bit of linebacker, outside linebacker. They've got some playmakers who can rush the quarterback. They got to be more consistent, though, especially defending the pass. If they just take one step forward, say they get into the 70s in national scoring defense, this is a team that could win 7 or 8 games.
Our producer, Jack, is a massive Bucks fan. He says he is now going there for this party and this sip. This is your fault if he doesn't show up on Monday, Brandon. All right, finally, let's head to a team. The program has been a hot mess over the past couple of years. However, Josh Heupel taking over as head coach at Tennessee from Jeremy Pruitt. They are also hoping Michigan transfer quarterback Joe Milton will choose to go with the Volunteers. What can you tell us about that situation, and how much would that mean to this Tennessee team?
I'll say this, for Tennessee fans out there watching this, if you watch the spring game Saturday and you come away disappointed, you'll probably be more happy when Saturday night arrives, because that's when Joe Milton's going to tell the world officially where he's going between Tennessee and Washington State. Feeling here is he ends up landing with the Vols. But to me, I mean, it's very obvious here that Josh Heupel is not confident in the 3 quarterbacks he's got competing for that starting job right now, including Virginia Tech transfer Hendon Hooker. And by getting Joe Milton, this is a competition that's probably going to go all the way to almost game time when they open the season. As of right now, if you want to look at these three players outside of Joe Milton who are currently on campus, Brian Maurer probably fits the Heupel mold a little bit better than these other guys. He's been more accurate in these spring practice based off what I've been told, but no one's really blowing the doors off the place. And that's why Joe Milton, who, he threw as many touchdowns as interceptions last season, but he's a 5-game starter. He has some experience under his belt. He's dynamic and under some great coaching, which Heupel is a fantastic quarterbacks coach and a great offensive coordinator. Maybe they can take that next step with him. But right now, man, they're just picking up every quarterback they can just to see if they can find a good one.
Picking up every quarterback and kind of picking up the pieces along the road of the past several years. I mean, if you're a Volunteers fan, this is a great fan base. They've been upset over the past couple of years. What can you expect under Josh Heupel? Maybe not even this season, but next season as well.
Well, if you're a Tennessee fan, I know the word patience is just like not in your vocabulary, and really for any SEC fan. But listen, you got to show patience with Josh Heupel because Tennessee's in a very dangerous position right now under this NCAA cloud with the investigation, maybe some sanctions coming down. This is going to be a 4 to 5 year rebuilding job for Josh Heupel. And I would say you can start judging the job he's doing in maybe year 3, once he starts getting a couple of recruiting classes under his belt and brings in the type of players that he wants. Now, in the SEC, you're rarely afforded 4 to 5 years to figure things out on the job. But this is a different circumstance for 2 reasons. One, the NCAA investigation. But secondly, this is a Tennessee gig that is not as highly thought of as it used to be. That's why Heupel was hired. Let's just face it. And so we've went through a lot of coaches there at Tennessee. We've tried this, we've tried that. We tried getting a Nick Saban disciple and Jeremy Pruitt, and that kind of blew up in their face. If this is the guy you really think is going to be able to lift the program out of the muck, give him time. Otherwise, you make a quick decision. Your next head coach is definitely not going to be a big-time guy, and you'll probably be in a position where it'll take longer than 5 years to get out of.
Patience. Learn it, Tennessee fans. Patience. All right, Brandon, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy your own party in the SIP there. You can hear much more about the world of college football from our guys on the Cover 3 podcast. Yes, spring games are going on. You want to see what's going on. Those quarterback battles, there are quite a few of them. Make sure to download and follow.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.